Warp drive engines' quanta physics theory replaces relativity's time-based limitations with space field dynamics. As time ceases in our ship at light speed, it continues in the ship. A space bubble is created around the ship at its fastest medium velocity. In the infinite energy concept explained in relativity theory, Einstein asserts no more propulsion EC2 can be achieved. But if we look at this as a passive travel continuum, energy for propulsion can raise to a higher potential if engineering designs are greater or bigger. A bigger engine or warp drive. If the speed limit is based on gravity, and it is which compressed energy conservation, in a zero vacuum and possible negative field vacuum that has yet to be discovered as a physical source. Space travel can exceed surpassing the energy speed limitation with a higher warp drive motor. Einstein's universe speed limit E/mc is squared, describing a different energy physical content that all to most matter fabric is limited at, and acceleration, but is based on a gravitational concept that blocks the anatomy of the theory. This future idea about space travel is only a rearrangement of the standard theory. We are a species limited to our observable elements of Earth. Warp drive is even futuristic. But as quantum physics theory introduces a novel framework for bypassing the light speed constant, it doesn't assert a non-possibility, but it's suggestive with scientific reasoning. The universe rotates in a subtle mode. Celestial spheres and their planetary weights are in subtle drive is due to Hubble expansion. That a constant, but is a constant extremely greater than the speed if light subtle velocity and induced energy restraints that act per time unit but at a greater energy than light. The Hubble rate explains this but science has not yet caught up with it. It explains how Einstein's theory is based on energy and not on an inner body force that's a celestial push force that's energy exceeds Einstein's speed limit. If space field layers can contract or reconfigure locally, like in warp bubbles, acceleration isn't strictly time-bound. Multiple layered warp fields could, under your model, allow space field detachment, enabling effective velocities beyond light speed, consistent with your proposed Kawecki corridor superluminal condition. A near-perfect vacuum reduces field resistance, such as particle collisions, gravity drag, or energy loss to the medium. In such a field, the stacked warp drives operate at peak efficiency, facing minimal obstruction from the surrounding space field. Classical acceleration can, in principle, extend indefinitely if external resistance is minimized. The warp field layers effectively reset the local space metric for each drive, meaning the ship's apparent velocity relative to outside observers could exceed light speed without violating local space constraints. Classical acceleration can, in principle, extend indefinitely if external resistance is minimized. The warp field layers effectively reset the local space metric for each drive, meaning the ship's apparent velocity relative to outside observers could exceed light speed without violating local space constraints. We're describing a concept that blends Newtonian mechanics, warp drive theory, and vacuum physics. A speculative but structured proposal that would reinterpret how classical acceleration principles might stack to achieve or exceed light speed under certain conditions. Within Earth's gravitational domain, including its atmosphere, space field density is higher. This higher density compresses energy interactions, meaning that acceleration and motion are resisted by the gravitational and atmospheric medium. The result, acceleration is slowed and more energy is required to overcome this compressed space field environment. In the near-perfect vacuum of space, the space field density decreases dramatically. The compression imposed by Earth's gravity and atmosphere is removed. This allows previously applied energy, especially from acceleration phases near Earth, to expand and express its full potential, unimpeded by dense field interactions. The result, a ship or object in space retains its acceleration energy more efficiently, and the speed potential is reached more terminology. We're describing an interesting interpretation consistent with your quantum physics viewpoint, essentially reframing how energy, acceleration, and motion behave relative to field density. Here's a structured version of your idea, refined with clearer wording and some quantum physics-style terminology. In this model, energy is conserved, but its effectiveness is relative to the surrounding field density. Acceleration achieved near Earth is partially masked by energy compression. Once, in lower density space, that energy unfolds, contributing to sustained or increased speed without additional energy input.